The Dearborn Independent, Chronicler of the Neglected Truth, March 27th, 1926, Volume 26, Number 23. Mr. Ford's page of the Dearborn Independent. Destructive radicalism is the foe of progress because it knows and says that betterment of social condition neutralizes revolutionary activity. Hard-shell conservatism is the foe of progress because it thinks of human wealth in terms of the present quantity and is moved by an intelligent selfishness. Both attack progress, one by assuming its name and robe to disguise the purpose of radicalism, the other by attacking it as Bolshevism. There are too many attempts to suppress progress by calling it names. Suppression of progress plays into the hands of the social enemy. Every advance in social justice establishes the nation. If the chief barrier of progress is human inertia, the next is misdirected human energy. Nature itself, the propulsive power of life, overcomes the first, but it requires experience and reflection upon experience and the wise interpretation of experience to undo the errors or rightly direct the efforts of the second. Both conservatism and radicalism, as we know them in their extremes today, are the enemies of progress. It has become quite the fashion to cry down all progressive social aspiration by identifying it with Bolshevik distractionism. It is only too true that the progressive movement has been seized and used as a cloak for the active agents of the submersive movement. And it is only too true that unprogressive conservatives have seized upon this as an excuse to attack all progressive movements and thoughts. And between the two, the spirit of progress seems to have been suppressed, damned on both sides by misidentity. But both sides being in by trickery, one to misuse the party of progress by using it, the other to condemn the party of progress because of this misfortune, the result can only be clear exposure of the falsity of both positions. There are today two falsehoods. First, the falsehood of the so-called radicals that progress requires destruction of what exists. Second, the falsehood of so-called conservatives that progress is identical with anarchy and destruction. It requires no words to dispose of the first falsehood. The people of this country are quite clear-sighted on that point. The bulk of the nation are too well fortified with common sense to become disciples of that theory. We're racially undergrounded by instinctive self-protective apprehension which have determined the development of our type of civilization. The second falsehood has the greater power, and it is working at present the greatest deception. In their extreme revulsion from the doctrines of the distractionists, our conservatives have fallen into suspicion of all criticism of the present social order as being destructive in origin and purpose. The people's healthy rejection of the Bolshevik has led ultra-conservatives to use that term as a defamatory label in all progressive thought. If this were a mere matter of strategy, if it were simply agreed that while the forces of destruction were abroad, all right-minded men should band together to hold things as they are, if it were simply agreed that because the destructive movement had stolen the progressive livery, it were better for the progressives to remain in abeyance for the time, all that could be understood that would mark the agreement between all right-minded citizens of conservative or progressive tendencies. But when the conservative element joined with destructive element to make the progressive spirit an odious thing, it became time to state that matter as it is. Both extreme radicals and conservatives are consciously and intentionally the enemies of progress. The radicals do not hesitate to say it in so many words. They say boldly that they do not want the social machinery improved, they do not want the lot of the working man bettered. They do not want the slack between the people's will and the political action lessened. They do not want life to grow better and better for the multitudes. They say that they want things to grow worse. The workers' lot to grow harder, the government to grow rottener. They want life in the United States to grow unendurable, for then they may have hope of leading our people to destroy all law and order. This they preach in so many words. It abounds in their printed works. It explains why they regard social improvement as their enemy. The conservatives have not the high excuse of a fanatic cause for their attitude. They dislike progress simply because it is going to cost them something, at least so they think. It is going to cost them most heavily in their selfishness, that is all. Conservatives dumbly imagine that social progress means division of the present wealth to the decrease of their store. They have no idea of the productive abilities that would be liberated by more justice and opportunity, and by the greater general increase of wealth to all. They have not thought that far, their own selfish policy having but little increased the general wealth. They're blinded to the power of unselfish social improvement to increase immeasurably the general stock of the things we need to live. To them also all friends of social improvements are enemy. Between these two parties, one representing the misdirection of human energy, the other the inertia of selfishness, progress has for a time been present. It is now time to recognize that there are three in the field, that their true progress cannot be misidentified with either of the other to its hurt.